Yeah, today we our chat will be based on a very I find this topic right when last week when Sundar was sharing with us, I mean between both of us, this topic was intrigued by a video, all right? The art of living and the art of dying, right? So the video was about this 30-year-old lady from Ohio. She was, I think she was singing right in the American Got Talent in 2021.
Yeah.
All right, by the name Nightbird, and she won the Golden Buzzer from Simon Cowell. Ooh, Simon Cowell, you can get that from him. I think she's really good. Okay, so the topic was intrigued by this because she actually was given just 2% chance of surviving. She's fighting cancer on her third round right now, and though that she's fighting, the song actually brought tears to the world. The way she sings it, and it's about her health battle. Is she said it's okay even if she only have a year to live. So this is where the topic came about, the art of living and the art of dying. So Sundar, do you want to yeah, because the art of dying, actually the art of living, right? It was easier to talk about because I can get a lot of topic to talk about. But the art of dying is really something that when I was Googling, I was like, these are the topics that is not very norm. Yeah, we don't really talk about it because it's like a taboo for us. Yeah, the art of dying or about dying. So maybe Sundar, you want to enlighten us a bit about this topic?
Yeah. Thank you. Actually, this, like you said, the performance of Nightbird is what sparked this topic between us, and it really moved like the whole world, right? At least everyone who was watching the AGT, and it really moved me as well. And like you said, like she was given like a 2% chance of survival. And I remember she said 2% is better than 0%, So she has a very positive attitude towards life. And actually, when I heard that, it triggered so many emotions in me because there was a point in time, much, much earlier, where life was really hard. And I also, felt really, really bad about this. But I felt like I didn't have the same positivity she did. I had more a pessimistic approach. I felt like, oh, life's so hard. And I mean, compared to her, like, I was having not physical issues, but emotional and mental issues. So, I had a very pessimistic approach to this. And I thought, oh, well, if life's so hard, then what's the point? What's the point of doing this? So that's how I remember going through a whole range, and people who are not very happy with themselves, or especially, I think it's very relevant during this season, the last 1 year, especially 2020, 2021, the pandemic, people being forced to stay home, people losing their jobs. It can seem like life is very, very hard, and there's no control over it and things like that. So it just, today I'm okay. Like, in the last 1.5 years, to be honest, it didn't hit me so hard because I've been down before. I've been in that black hole before, So I know how to deal with it. I know how to pull myself up and move forward. And it didn't hit so bad. So I remember, but the reason why I'm very positive, I'm very happy these days, is because of something that happened almost a decade or more than that ago, right? Where I remember the one reason that I chose to keep moving forward, even though I had a pessimistic approach to life at that time. The reason I wanted to move forward, the reason I kept moving forward, is because I told myself, like, this cannot be the end. My life, this cannot be the summary of my life, that it ends here, right? And also at that point, I think I had like some very little savings in my account. So I was like, you know what? Worst case scenario, we will take this very little savings it will be enough. It will be enough to get to nature, to get to a waterfall, which is my favorite thing on earth. I love rivers and waterfalls.
Me too.
So I was like, it's enough money, right? Yeah. I was like, the very least I'm gonna do is buy a pair of shoes, put on a shirt, put on some pants, and maybe take a taxi just to that waterfall. If life is really that bad, like just at least that can be my last moment, or something like that, right? So, but I was like, okay, that's the backup plan, but not today. Today, I feel like I want to do one more thing and one more thing. So actually, what I didn't realize is the topic that we're coming to today, which is the art of dying. So when I first started listening to this art of dying, I realized that, hey, this is all very familiar. Somehow I was already doing this when I was going through my, deep and dark phase, where you start thinking okay, so in a more optimistic way, in a more happy way, you start thinking if today is your last day, because nobody knows. We can see statistically you're expected to live to a certain age, sure, but nobody knows your last day. Okay, so if you imagine that, what if really today was the last day or tomorrow was the last day, what would you do today? How would you leave your relationships with yourself? How would you leave your relationships with your parents? How would you leave the relationship with your spouse, your children, your friends? How would you leave your finances? How would you leave your all the things? All of us have this. We have a box of outstanding stuff we say we do tomorrow. how would you
There's always
leave all
a tomorrow,
that,
right?
Maybe you had a yeah. Yeah. So, what if you had a project that you were working on with your son, like you're building a car, or you had a project with your daughter, you're teaching her how to sew, or you're teaching her how to cook, or, you're building something together, and the project's not completed, right? But today's your last day. So what would you do? So that is the essence of the art of dying. If every day you lived as if this was your last chance to make things right, this was your last chance to settle the score before you move on to the afterlife or the next phase of your life, then how would you choose to leave it today? And really not just think about it intellectually, actually do it, right? So when I started to actually do this, I'll be like, you know what? I really wanted to thank my parents for the education they've given me. I really wanted to thank my parents. Like, nobody's parents are perfect, right? We all, and nobody's the best either. We always say best mom, best dad. Nobody's the best, but nobody's the worst either. Okay. So we always have compliments and we always have comments about all the things around us. And what would you do about those compliments? What would you do about those comments? So I was thinking, you know what? Let's not just keep it in my heart. Let's not keep it on a piece of paper that I've written down and, people's mail letters after they're dead. Like, all this, no point. Okay. Do it now while you're alive. Come on. Say sorry now. Say I love you now. Say thank you now. Say I forgive you. Can you forgive me? Say all this now. So I started doing this, and life became very, very different, right? A lot of people started reacting in a way like they're like, "Whoa, what's wrong? Like, why are you talking like this?" and it was very funny. But then it started to develop me as a person, the way I chose to make future decisions, right? So in the beginning, it was like, oh my God, this is all like very crazy. Like, why is Sundar talking like this? Did something happen? But nothing happened, it's just a change of thinking. So, but that was because I'm making up for the past. And if we're talking about the present, then the way I interact with people, the way I tell them that, if we're going to do something together, then we do it in this way. And then even if I'm gone tomorrow, it would have made no difference because we settled everything very nicely today itself. We were very clear, we were very upfront about what we're meant to do. And, if I disappear, I disappear, because I don't know when is my last day. So similar with the other person, if they're no longer in my life or they've moved on or, whatever happened, it's cool too, because we've already, mastered that art of I may not see you tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah.
That's actually the topic of like I was saying just now, the art of living is like there's so many things we can bring up, right? But the art of dying is actually something that I really had to sit down and, even when I was googling about it, to read about it, there is actually an institution that is specially for the to learn the art of dying, you know. And I was like, what? No, they actually learn about dying, you know. I guess the vision that the institution, that the organization had was, it is to cultivate or to awaken people to a deeper and more conscious engagement with death, and dying. Because most of us, when we hear death, when we hear dying, it's like, it's not a very common topic that we would like to talk about, or is a very scary topic to even have a conversation about it. So that is where I was like thinking, what do I need to look at, for the art of dying? How do I look at things? How would I look at my life, when it is going to be my last day today? That got me really, really into real deep thought. And there is a saying or a quote from Mahatma Gandhi. It says, live as you were to die tomorrow. Learn as if you were to live forever. So that got me really into deep thought. The truth is that, deep down, I want to make my life meaningful. There's many people who quote, "Hey, I want to leave legacy. I want to do something that is meaningful in this life. So when I leave, I will not have regrets." Right? So, we
Exactly.
want to,
Exactly.
yeah, we want to dedicate our time, doing something that we love. But how? I was thinking, how do I do that? Where do I start from there? So, I think I was reading and I came up with two conclusions. One is life, meaning of life, all right, and life purpose. Life meaning, is a philosophy, is an idea, is a belief that, we ascribe our life, is something that we create, something that we can create. It comes from the mind, right? So it depends on our personal taste or our desire, our goal, or our dreams. It's just something that we can create out, right? So that, I think, once we want to know that what is our true meaning in life, we have to go into really deep soul searching. Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I did
Yeah.
for the past few months, since the 1 year. So MCO was a perfect time for me. Yeah.
Perfect, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's perfect time for me actually. I went in really deep into myself, to understand myself, to understand my gift, to understand my weaknesses, my passion, my interest. Yeah, the journey is kind of like, I would say, some can be frustrating, some can be disheartening, but it is actually because of the stress that we have in life. But if we can remove that, we actually can hear what is our life meaning. Our soul will actually tells us about it. And that, you go into meditation, you listen to yourself, you really, have this voice telling you, okay, this is your life meaning, this is what you need to do, or this is what you enjoy doing, you will enjoy doing this kind of things. So the second one would be life purpose. This one, I think, many of us, we have this. We actually is something that we need to fulfill. So if you read a lot of spirituality book and all that, right? They do tell you that every soul comes to earth reincarnate with a life purpose, right? So it's something that we need to fulfill. It is programmed inside us, what we need to do, what we need to create, what we need to find, right? So that is where I think our purpose for most of us, all right, it would be to grow, to change, and to expand. Basically, this is the three things that we do, right? The purpose of our life is to mature into every level: physical level, mental level, emotional level, spiritual level, right? So from there, I guess for me is I found my purpose. I found my life meaning after the lockdown for what? Now it's like the second year now. Yeah. So that is something that I think every one of us can actually find. So once you find your purpose, once you find your life, life meaning, then we think the next step. What do we need to do? How do we go forward with this?
Yeah.
That is so. This topic is actually very complex, to know that. Basically, the purpose is actually to unite, right? To unite with our higher mind, to unite ourselves with our higher mind. So there are many names to that. When you unite to the higher mind, that can be called enlightenment. It can be called illumination. It can be called self-realization. Oneness, moksha, non-dual awareness, all this. So that is what we are trying to do. Day in, day out.
Totally agree.
So, well, how do we get there? That is another question. After we got, our life purpose and all that, then I asked myself, how do I get there? That was my question since the day I started my spiritual journey. How do I get there? There are many, I think, ways that we can do to get there, right?
I think that's the most important question.
Yes. So maybe that,
like, practicing all these things is to bring you to that question, like what is the purpose of life, and then once you start thinking that way, then how do I get there, and what do I do when I get there, right? How did you get there?
For me, I do a lot of inner work. That is I feel that is the most powerful practice we can really focus on. And also beside that, meditation. I vouch really for meditation on Twin Heart, because that actually opened up my heart and open up, to everything that I'm experiencing now, the peace that I have, the calmness that I have, that was the gateway for me. There might be other modalities or meditation that you can practice, but I guess for me, I find that, and for many, even for clients that we do healing for, when we taught them to do meditation on Twin Heart, and the result comes in pretty fast for them. So I guess in that sense, also healing, inner transformation, that is really amazing in that sense. For me, that is my journey. So how about yourself, Sundar? Did you go through all that?
So actually, we talk about this a few times, that for me, the journey started much earlier, before pranic healing. I definitely pranic healing, meditation on Twin Hearts accelerated the journey like lightning speed for me. But I also want to share this, that it's not the only way. And some people might be going through this already, where like just now you were saying, I totally resonate with this, right? When you start asking yourself about if I had to end things in a very nice way, or if I had to live in a way, I have to learn how to live in a way that I might not be around tomorrow, then you start to form this. It takes some time to change the mental framework, the mindset of what you're going to do today if you're not around tomorrow, and actually start putting that into practice. And then you start thinking about, well, if I'm not going to be around tomorrow, why would I invest in today? You start having this question, right? And that's really important that you start asking this question: why do you invest in today if you're not going to be around tomorrow? So, and it reminds me of this very beautiful quote, right? It said that every tree ever planted was someone who believed in tomorrow. The shade of the tree that you sit in is because somebody believed in tomorrow. So then I started asking myself, so if I'm not going to be around tomorrow, then what am I doing all this for, and why am I doing it? So now the question becomes really important about what is your purpose of life? What can you contribute to the earth, or what can you contribute to your family, to your community, to your society, to your nation? If you can go even bigger, contribute to the entire planet. That's what you should be focusing on, right? And then you start to see, like I started to see, those pursuits for being super, super rich. Okay, very nice. I'm not going to deny this. Very nice to be super rich. Okay, but if I'm not around tomorrow, who will spend this? Not me. It will be somebody else, right? So how can I earn enough that I can spend today and live today? I think because I was also in Asian culture, this is very common, right? Our parents, they earn so much for the children's future. Everything is for the future, never for the present, because we're not trained to think that way. And when you start doing that, it's not only finances, it's also your emotions, it's also your self-development. What do you want to learn that you feel, oh, when I retire, I will learn this, or oh, when I'm, a certain age, or when the kids are out of the nest, I will learn this, or when I have certain amount of money, or when I have my dream car, then I will go and learn these things. Like, why don't you just do that today? Like, why don't you just do this now? So and just to give you some examples, one of the things I always wanted to do was riding my motorbike, a super bike. Everyone says it's really dangerous. You've never ridden a bike before. How will you handle such a big one? And I was like, I don't know. I'm just gonna go do it. And I told nobody. I didn't tell anybody. I just went to the driving school. I started taking lessons, and I dropped the bike many, many times. And then now I'm a really good rider. Now it's been 4 years, 5 years, and I'm no regrets, right? And then like other things I wanted to do as well. I was like, why not do it now? Like learn to dance, A lot of people, they feel like, I would love to learn to dance. I would love to learn to cook. Yeah, why don't you just do this now?
Yeah.
And then you start enjoying life. You start living for the present. And you say, then the conversation becomes like, okay, if I want to live for today, how much money would I need to facilitate all this process? Because a lot of people have this unrealistic goals of life, right? Where they feel, I must have this big house, I must have this big car, I must go to the best universities and reach the best teachers. I'm like, is this really realistic in one lifetime? It might be realistic for a small percentage of the population, but not for everybody. So why don't you do what's realistic and what's fun for you, which is very real in your life, So like for me, dancing was very real. I started taking classes. I started meeting some amazing people, and I started riding the super bike. I never imagined I would go to Thailand. I just thought it's something I would ride in Malaysia.
Cool.
Yeah, so we took the bikes. We went to Thailand. We went to Singapore, and out of nowhere, this group of friends of mine, I didn't know they were into biking as well. We formed a group, and we all took our bikes up to Thailand. We went down to Singapore. It was amazing, So then, as you start living, actually living, not planning to live for the future, you start thinking that, life is actually pretty damn good. and then come back to this question, right? So if you're stuck in that spot, like you're saying earlier, then how do you move forward? How do you start living? Is by asking yourself, what's your purpose? What's your soul purpose, and how do you find it, and how do you get there? And for me, so it started way before pranic healing. Um, and it was all very patchy, I was like, I figured out certain things, but I didn't have certain information. Some pieces of information were lost, but I was kind of putting it together in my head, writing it down on bits of paper, which I lost, and then I met Master Chua. So most of what I know is through Master Chua, where all the pieces just came together in a really nice structured like cookbook. Everything. This is like step 1, step 2, step 3. It was like so simple. I was like, oh my God, I did not know about the energy body. No wonder there is so many missing pieces of information. Why people argue about religion, why people argue about afterlife, and all these things, right? It became so confusing. And once Master Chua put all of that together in one little book, everything made sense. And he said, you just do twin hearts. And the purpose is not like, some people meditate because they want to make the teacher happy. Because Master Chua said so. This is not the case. Like for me, I'm really stubborn. I wouldn't do it for Master Chua. I would do it for me. So I started doing it, and then for me it's all very intellectual, right? I'm not very I don't have this spiritual like devotion. So I'm like, okay, when we do twin hearts, now I understand there is that energy center in the heart. That's why a lot of people feel emotions in this area here and the lower area. You don't feel emotions in your legs. You don't feel it in your arms. It's over here, right? Yeah, it's this two centers. So I was like, it makes sense that there is an energy center located here. I just can't see it, right? And then when you open this up, especially when you open it with love, then you tend to fill your aura, fill your energy body with all that love. And then that opens the crown. There's like another center at the top of the head. And this is how you start to realize this, like you said, there's a soul journey. There's a much bigger picture here. How do we connect with our higher self, with our soul? And what is even the hierarchy of soul? Where does God come into this? And what is all this like alien concepts now? So after learning pranic healing, everything became very, very simple. And then I was like, okay, if that is the way, so Master Chua said that is the way, but you have to experience it, right? You cannot just believe him because he said it, So I was like, okay, let me meditate, and then you start discovering that there is so many things that you can feel and sort of see with internally about your life, but you've got to ask that question though: what is the purpose of my life? What am I here for? And if I'm not here tomorrow, what would I choose to do today? And when you're really sincere in your question, in your devotion, then you start to see things very sincerely as well. You're like, okay, so for me now, it's like, helping other people makes me super happy, because even if I'm not here tomorrow, at least, someone else is here and I've managed to make their life better. So yeah, what was it for you, Liza? What was that life purpose when you found it?
Well, I guess mine is pretty similar to yours. Yours is the super bike. Okay. My bucket list was to learn to cycle. And that was like now, 5 years ago, I took up that challenge at 40 plus to learn to cycle, which I've never done before. I've never knew how to cycle, on 2 wheels. And that was
amazing.
Good. And like you, we went to Thailand. That is on 2 wheels, not a motored one, only with our 2 legs. Yeah, we went to Thailand. We went to Korea. We actually cycled to places, and because I love to eat, so most of my cycling adventure would be to places that has good food. Yeah, so that was my motivation. That was my purpose at that time, and that got me going, and that got me into life, experiencing life, and I met up with a lot of beautiful people, that have the same interests, and we click, we form a group, and we go places together, and it's quite similar, yeah, to what you experience. And then I was thinking, then after that, from there, I was thinking, life is much more than this. Life is, you know, it's much more than just enjoying your hobby. It's just, doing what you like. There is so much more things that we can do. That's when I went on a quest, to find the answers. And I'm grateful that I found pranic healing. And like you said, Grandmaster Chua has put everything as simple as ABC. Things
Yeah.
it's so easy to understand. Once you understand how things are being done, the reason, because since young, I always have a question. I always have questions to everything, Even sometimes my mom will just say, "Aya, follow lah, don't ask so much,"
Yes, yes. Oh my God, this brings back so many memories. Yes.
I was like, but I want to know. There is a reason why we practice this. There's a reason why we do this. So why can't anyone give me the answer? And some people will just tell me, "Aya, just do lah." To me, is since young, I have this curiosity to everything. I always ask questions. So when I got into pranic healing, the same thing I did, and I like it when grandmasters say that, don't believe me, you need to try it out. Whatever practices that we do, always try it out and see what you come to it, what's the result for you, because it can be a different experiences for everyone. It's a different, maybe it's a different solution that you get, it's a different outcome. So I like that way, yeah. And it is not hard. It's very practical. The practice is very practical, and it's not too complicated. And it's just like ABC. So right now, the deeper I go, the deeper I venture into energy healing. I venture into understanding energy. I kind of like get a lot of answers to my whys of why this is happening, why that is happening. Like the other time when we were having Chinese New Year, right? We were celebrating the Chinese New Year, the Chinese. Then it hits me why, because my mom always tell me, okay, by the time on Chinese New Year Eve, all right, when it strikes 12, you cannot wash your hair.
Oh, I didn't know this one.
But you do not need to wash your hair, Sundar.
This is true.
Wipe it.
Yeah, I can still have a shower.
Yeah, and so I was like, why? And then he said, by 12 o'clock, you need to sweep and clean the place. Your compound got to be clean, and there's no cleaning after 12. So I asked the question, why is all this being practiced? I never get my answer until that when this year, was it this year? Yeah, this year, during Chinese New Year, I think I understand now why. You see, during Chinese New Year, when I did meditation, there is a lot of downpour of energy, right? So I would assume, this is my own assumption, yeah, by my experience. There is so much downpour of energy that you do not want to wash it away, because gush of water, remove the energy, right? So when I meditated, that I could feel that is gush of energy coming down so much. Then it gave me an idea. Oh, this is why the Chinese say do not wash your hair, because
They
The
said not
one,
to shower, right? Yeah.
yeah, not to shower. So that is one. Second thing is prosperity. When you clean the place, and I studied that
Yeah.
the prosperity deities, they love cleanliness. They love is
Yeah.
they will come when there is joy, when there is happiness. So during Chinese New Year Eve, they will tell you no arguments, do not shout, do not yeah, do not do all
This
this.
should be like every day.
Exactly. Not only in Chinese New Year, right? Yeah. So I got this understanding. Yeah, now I understand why certain practices is being practiced. There
Yeah,
are so
it's
many
true. It's
practices
true.
that is being practiced, but I think the reason to why they practice this got lost over time,
Yeah.
and all this the younger generation now doesn't know why it's being practiced, and some of us still do follow, and some of us, because we do not know why it is practiced, we let it go. We didn't want to follow the practice anymore, because we don't understand why. So knowing why in many things that help us to actually move forward and continue the practices that is being practiced. Yeah, that's my
Yeah.
understanding, so far for energy healing. There is so many things, I think.
Yeah. And like you were saying,
Yeah.
about the cleanliness and the prosperity.
Yes, the cleanliness and the prosperity. Where I read the deities, they are attracted to positive, high vibration energies. Yeah. So when you have that, they will come. That's where prosperity comes in. So
Yeah.
not only that we need to practice that, like you were saying, Sundar. Not that we only need to practice that on festivals. You can practice that every day. Now that you know that it is how it
Yes.
is,
Yes.
you can have prosperity deities coming, energy all coming into your home
Yeah.
every day. Yeah, just
Yeah. You
keep.
can do conscious practice, right?
Yes,
And then
correct.
eventually conscious practice becomes reflex, becomes second nature, and then that becomes really easy. You'll be just
Yes,
prosperous all the time.
correct. So yeah, that's where understanding. I think the understanding makes perfect sense to me. That's why
Yeah.
asking why in many things, finding the answer. Yeah, that is actually
Yeah.
also spirituality, isn't it? We keep on going
Yeah.
deeper and deeper, finding answers to many things.
Actually, I really like. Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, Sundar.
Yeah. I really like that you brought up this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm a bit dense. So when people started talking about angels to me, I would just smile and nod because I was like, you must be crazy. So I was like, where are the angels? So and then and this even after pranic healing, I was already an arhatic yogi. I was going for arhatic yoga retreats, and even the masters who talk about angels, I'm like, yes, but I don't believe. So I remember at one point, during one of these retreats, I shared my very first experience of meeting an angel. Right now, this is going to be crazy. This is coming from a person who doesn't believe in it. Yeah. So this was maybe, I think, must have been about 3 years already into pranic healing and practicing meditations, and a lot of wrong ideas, a lot of wrong thoughts about what an angel is supposed to be and things like that. The thing is, I wasn't even expecting it. So an arhatic retreat, the arhatic yoga retreat we had in the Philippines was about 4 days. On the third day, one of the masters, they said, would you guys like to do something different, something out of the program today? And we said, oh, yeah, sure, of course. Out of the program always sounds fun. So
Yeah,
she
this
said,
sounds
okay.
interesting. What it's leading to?
Yeah, so she said, okay, we've talked to the hotel management. Tomorrow morning, instead of coming to the retreat hall, please wear your bathing suits, nothing too sexy, okay? And we're going to get in the swimming pool. We're going to do something because so what she explained was that when we say angels, a lot of people have a lot of wrong ideas or preconceived ideas of what an angel should be. So she's saying like these are just beings without a physical form, that live in a different realm. So just like we have a heart center, you can't see it, but you can feel it. Something like this, right? So she wasn't talking about angels. She was just talking about getting certain entities or elementals to help with purification. Just as there are bad entities, there are also good ones. So when you ask for help, you'll get it. If you don't ask, it's like money. If you don't ask for it, you're not getting it. You don't ask for a sale, you don't ask for a client, you're not getting it. You have to go and ask for it. It's the same with spiritual help. So, we got in the water and she said, okay, there are elementals of water. They reside in this element. So we're going to do purification of your body in this element, right? And we're going to ask the water elementals to remove certain things because it's easier for them. So we got in, and I remember like there was no microphone because it's such a big group. There was a few hundred people, and there was no microphone. So she was just using her voice, and I could barely hear her. I was somewhere in the back of the pool. She didn't have a very loud voice, so I could barely hear her, and I was trying so hard to concentrate. I really couldn't. So all I had to do, and I wear contact lenses, so when I got in the pool, I couldn't see either because I had to take them out. So now I cannot see and I cannot hear. And all this is really important because now I'm left to my other senses, right? I have to look at people around me, left and right. What are they doing? And then I follow, I copy, because I don't want to be the guy left out, right? So, at one point we would stand up from the water, and then we would like say a bit of a prayer, or we would just ask for help. We'll say, okay, this, we want it removed from our system. And then, we would like dunk ourselves in the water, and the master would do the healing, and then we'd stand up, we'll ask for blessings again. So then we'd go down in the water again. And then we did this about seven times, I think. I can't remember. So I remember, getting into a bit of a rhythm. I was like, okay, stand up, go down, stand up, go down. Go down. I was like, it's like going to church. So I remember one time, when you come up, because we're down for a few seconds, right? And then we're up for a few couple of minutes as well. So I remember when I was down, you kind of have this like feeling that you're cut off from the world. It's just you and your body, and you're very aware of your body. And then when we came up, Master will do the invocation. We just silently follow after her. But I couldn't follow her, so I just stayed in silence. And I remember about the 5th or 6th time, it was a surreal experience. I could very distinctly feel there was this like little ball of light, like about this size, about 3 inches in size, that was kind of running around my shoulders from left to right. And, when I became aware of that one, suddenly I became aware of actually there were many more,
That's
maybe.
so cool.
Yeah. So I was like, what was this? So I went down in the water again, and I came back up. And when I came up, I was now looking for it, right? Now I was looking for it. And I was like, I was just being very calm, not expecting anything. I was just like, if you're there, you're there. If you're not, you're not. But I don't know what this is, right? I thought maybe a leaf fell on me, or I don't know what it was, So my eyes were still closed. And then I was, later on, when we got out of the pool, I was telling a friend about this. He said, I attended the angel course with Master. And she was describing this is what they look like. He said, I've never seen or felt one, but what you described was exactly what she said, in the class.
Wow.
And I was like, I've never been to this class. So I was like, I don't know what she said, And I was like, wow, that's really crazy. I started thinking that maybe I've just been touched. Like literally, I've just been touched by an angel. And I was like, oh, this is what they feel like, So now I started becoming aware, and the thing is like sincerely asking, right? That, okay, I would like to have this sensation. I would like to have this feeling. What is an angel like? And, what is the energy of an angel? And then I realized, so now coming back to the whole reason of this topic was about the prosperity angels and the cleanliness that you were talking about, right? Because they live in that realm where they don't have the grosser body, the physical aspect of the body. They only have the emotions and the energy aspect. It's very easy for them to move to higher vibrational areas, right? So imagine if it was you as a person and you could go anywhere in the world, no visa required, right? You would always want to spend your time where it's the happiest place, right? You would like to go to, the waterfalls and the rivers, and you go to beautiful experiences.
Yes.
You wouldn't want to be around lower vibrations, right? So
Yes.
that is true. Clean the house. So when we learn pranic healing, we learn to scan the energy. When the house is clean, free of clutter, and nicely organized, you notice just by doing that, the energy of the house increases. When the energy
Yes.
of the house increases, more of these beings are attracted to the house. So I was like, all this suddenly makes sense. you know.
Exactly. That's the same thing with me. I mean, um, when I started, when I was learning about energy, I think I had a similar experience, and that is where I think you enlightened me on one thing, right? I was having fever at that time, and I heard them saying, because they said that you can invoke for the healing angels. Yeah. So I was having really high fever, and it was like for 2 days. So on the third day, I think on the second day, I can't remember. I invoked. I said, please help me, healing angels, please help me. I really feeling really, really bad, and I need healing. I do not know what I was saying, because I was really out. I was just, hoping and just asking, invoking. So, and I remember that time I was on my bed and I got really sleepy. So I told my husband, I said, I'm going to sleep. All right. So the minute before he even walked out the door, my head was going onto the pillow, and suddenly, I was out. And before I was out, I saw this brilliant, beautiful white light. Yeah. In my in the
Yeah.
center here, and I didn't know what it was. I was like thinking, oh, is it me coming out from my body, or I'm experiencing some astral thingy, or some astral travel or something like that. So I think after that, the next day, amazingly, I was healed. My fever was
Wow.
gone. Really, it
Wow.
was really,
Yeah.
I didn't know what happened. Okay. Then, I think few weeks later, or a month or so later, I was speaking to you, right, Sundar? And
Yeah.
I told you about it, and you showed me a picture.
Yeah. I remember this.
Yeah. You showed me a picture, and I went like, wow, that is exactly what I saw. And I didn't even know how it looks like. I didn't even know about it, because I'm I think I'm very new in spirituality. I'm very new to when people talk about angels, talk about, the unknown. All right. So I've I was like, wow, that is what I was. It can't be my imagination, because I didn't know what I was, what it was, until when you showed me. I was like, wow, that was what it was. It's a healing
Right.
angel. I was
Yeah.
like so amazed.
It's
It's
really
really,
amazing, right?
yeah, it's really a very, how you say it, very special experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that there are certain things that happen. I think in our life, sometimes we call it miracles, or we call it, actually there are miracle helpers. Yeah, unseen helpers that are helping. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we know that we are the Buddhists. Even in the Buddhists, they do say that we live in a parallel realm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are different realms, yeah, but parallel with us. But because the atoms are not touching, so we are not able to feel them or see them. However, I think the high clairvoyants, they are able to see them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So this is something very, very exciting and new for me. So the more deeper I go into energy study, I think it gets more exciting. Yeah.
It is, right?
Yeah.
And only more and more miracles to come. So,
Right.
I really love hearing all these stories because, when you, I think in life, everybody has a unique experience, but we have somewhat similar, we can guide each other, right? It might
Right.
not be exactly the same thing, but when we hear what other people go through, then we also get to relate this to our own lives, our own experience, and sort of try to figure it out a little bit faster, a little bit quicker.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I really love
So
hearing all these stories.
I think the other most important thing, besides finding your life meaning and finding your life purpose, is also knowing that things are impermanent. I think we learned that, yeah. Impermanent, as in things change. So we do not get attached to it. Once we do not get attached to it, the pain is not so severe, right? So we are able to enjoy living, and physical body also is impermanent. We know that, yeah.
Yes, yes.
There is an expiry date to it. So yeah, if it, once we know that, and we just have to concentrate on living, for the moment, living, finding your purpose, finding your life purpose, finding your life meaning, make it meaningful at this life. Yeah. I guess that is where we will live with many wisdom that we can find. Yeah. With us. And yeah, that's the art of living and dying, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I
And
think we are
and if you
running
guys
out of time,
on
Sundar.
Yeah, and if you guys on Zoom, on Facebook, if you want to share your stories with us as well, please feel free to share, and then we can also talk about this in the next sessions. So looking forward to hear from you guys. And like Lisa said, that's our time for today. So we'll see you
Yeah.
guys next week. Okay, bye bye.
All right. Thank you. Atma
Thank you.
Namaste. Good evening.